Hello, my name is Eric Benner. I'm an enterprise architect with Mythics, and in this video we'll be going over some of the advantages of agile convergence. In this example, we'll be going over VMware and some of the advantages with the technology stack there. As with any truly converged system, you want a single pane of glass that handles the bulk of your task. However, there are instances where there are times you want to go to the native vendor's tool to do certain tasks. And that's an advantage you get with this solution, because with something like VMware as an example, I can not only do VMware provisioning tasks through Enterprise Manager using Chef to do the automation, but I also have the ability to go into the native tool and actually do the automation there. So in this example, we're going to go deploy a VM through vSphere, and then we'll go in Enterprise Manager and see how that looks in the environment with all the monitoring that we get. So a simple way to create a VM in vSphere is I'll go into my vSphere login. I've already logged in. I'll create a new virtual machine. In this case, I'm going to deploy from a template, from a pre-built template that I've assembled. And here I'm going to find the template, which is my Oracle Linux 6 base. And we're also going to power on the template after creation. We're going to give a name. We're going to call this test2 as an example, or better yet, NMS test2. For the example, and we're going to go deploy it onto the system here. And we're going to kick it off. Everything's compatible. We're going to pick our storage. In this particular example, I'm coming off of a ZFS storage array, but other storage arrays such as an FS1 are equally supported. But we'll go put it on that storage array for this example. We'll then provision it using our default profiles from VMware. And we'll go ahead and click off the deployment. And we'll see here now the deployment started. It's a ZFS, it's relatively fast, so this should go fairly quickly. Now, when you interface VMware with Enterprise Manager and this platform, we'll talk a little bit here while we do it, you get a lot of advantages you don't normally get in the standard target. So one of the things that you can do is you can see how your hypervisor works at a higher level. So here we're going to go to our VMware home, which I've already saved as a bookmark, and this will show my vSphere instance that I can log into. And from here I can see how many virtual machines, my hypervisors, my data stores if I have clusters. In this environment I simply haven't built a cluster out of it. I can look to see how many data centers I have, how many are promoted. I can see hypervisors, virtual machines, and here I can see one warning on the hypervisor. And I'm able to look at that warning. That'll take me specifically that hypervisor, and I'll be able to look at memory, CPU usage. I'll also be able to look at the warning on it. In this case, the system was powered on. But you get an idea of all that in there. And when the warning is generated out of Enterprise Manager, it handles the normal Enterprise Manager event notification system. So all the advantages of notifying the root groups or perhaps doing a corrective action, you can take advantage of those in this type of environment. I can also go into my old targets and look at not just the vSphere, but I can get into some other details there. So if I go to old targets, clean it up, I'm going to see I have some targets in here for VMware. So I have the data centers, I have my data stores, my home, hypervisors, and my virtual machines. Now, a nice thing is, like, for example, if I go into my virtual machines, I'll list all the virtual machines that I have in the environment. I can simply pick one of them that's running. And this will give me a landing page of the virtual machine. Here I'll be able to tell what hypervisor it's on and the workload of that hypervisor. I can also see the virtual machine and its current workload. Then if I have an Oracle database installed in the particular machine, I'll also be able to see the database. And the system automatically understands the relationship between this. So in a VMware environment, if I'm having a performance issue with a particular database or a VM, at the same time I can see the hypervisor and where it's at. In this case, my hypervisor is running under 1 millisecond of disk latency. It's relatively low CPU, low memory usage. So it's really not a problem in this particular environment. I can also see what data center, and here I have, it's running off an NMS. I can see the resource pool, the data stores effective. I basically get a whole summary, just like I would with Oracle VM, just as a different look and feel, using the Blue Medora plugin for Enterprise Manager, which enables all the functionality here. I also have all the other advantages I have with the target. So I can, example, do comparison between VMs, the targets, just like I would any other Enterprise Manager target. So here, from an example, I'm going to pick 2 or 3 of my targets, and I'll run a compare on them, just like I would for any other target in the system. And the compare is a quick way of identifying differences between different environments. It's not uncommon in production environments where you have a problem in production or you have a problem in dev test, and you don't have that problem in the other environment and you want to rapidly compare them. And I can do that with this technology. You can see I rapidly compared 3 different systems and able to quickly identify the differences between the systems for the deltas. And I can look at everything from my CPU shares being a different configuration, CPU limits, CPU counts. I can even get down into the memory configuration between the machines, or even if VMware tools are installed between machines and what version is there. It's all readily, quickly identified at a VMware level to identify the difference between the systems. Really helpful tool in production environments to determine the differences. And this is the beauty of Enterprise Manager, is you have the same tool for any target type. So let's go back to our host and see if the cloning is done here. And then we'll go to the promotion phase for the clone. Okay, we could see here now where my virtual machine is done cloning. We'll see it's now up and running as our NMS test 2. And now we'll go back into Enterprise Manager. So I'll go to Enterprise Manager, navigate to Targets All. Here I'm going to look at my VMware home, so I'll go to my vSphere, which is my primary home for my VMware instance. Here I'll see under virtual machines, 4 of the 5 machines are promoted. There's going to be a lot of instances where you don't want to necessarily promote a machine when it's initially built, such as you're building out machines for a project. You don't want to put the alarming on them until after they're in production or close to production. But here we're going to go promote it, and we would do this just like any other enterprise manager. I'm going to go to Setup, Add Target to Auto Discover Results. And then here it'll take me straight to auto results for this target, and I can see here's my new VM. I simply highlight the VM and click on Promote. It'll make sure the name, a UID for the system, the vSphere instance name. In this case, I'll leave it all the defaults. Click on Promote. It'll take a couple seconds here, and it'll promote the target, making it now a production target. The system will go ahead and monitor. One of the things you can also do, and there's just so much more to cover, we simply don't have time to cover in a couple short minutes, is I can also, with this system, show my topology of my environment for VMware. This is really helpful in complex environments where I have a lot of different hosts, a lot of computational abilities, I have a lot of data stores. I want to see a graphical representation. So I can go under the center for my vSphere, go down to Configuration, go to Topology, and this will generate a topographical map, a graphical representation of all my systems. So what I'll see is my vSphere instance named vSphere. I'll see my system as the NMS, and on top of that I'll see my VMs that are built in the system. I'll also see my data stores in the system, my hypervisors in the system, which in this case I have one, and I can see that whole map down to I'm monitoring it through my Enterprise Manager view. So I can get an entire graphical view of my system, what's running there, where it is, and any one of these examples, I can simply highlight that target, and it'll show me all the things that are involved with that target. So here I look at this data store of my ZFS, I can see all the places the ZFS touches. I can look at my local data store, and again, I'll see all the places it touches. And it's a really helpful tool in complex environments. And again, it's part of that single pane of glass capability you get in Enterprise Manager. If you have any questions, hopefully there are plenty because we simply didn't have time to cover every capability of the system. Please reach out to your Mythic sales rep. They'll be more than happy to set up a call, and we can handle any Q&A you might have at the moment. Thanks for your time.